Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at how we can read from text files and write to text files. So to begin, we're going to first look at how we can read from text files. So let's begin. We're going to first create a class file reader. You can name the class however you choose. Right. So we can then create the main method. So now, importantly, we need an object, a StreamReader object. I'm gonna call it reader. Right, so the StreamReader requires the path of the file you're trying to read, right? It requires the path of the file you're trying to read. So we're gonna have to say const string path is equals to. So in my program I have the file path here. It's inside the text file folder and it's called animals.txt, right? So this is the text file that I'm trying to read from, right? So I need to specify its path. So it is inside the text file. So I'm gonna say text, sorry, let me remove that. I'm going to say text files, and inside text file the file that I'm trying to read is called animals.txt, right? So after creating the StreamReader object and passing in the path inside its constructor, I need to start reading my file, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a string line equals to reader dot read line. So what's happening here? What's happening here is that we are reading the first line. Read the first line. Right? We're reading the first line of our text file, and we're storing it in the variable line. And the reason why we're putting question mark here is so that we know that we're actually saying that this might be nullable. It might happen that the reader itself does not return anything because the file might be empty, right? So that's why we put this question mark here. We're saying that it might be null. So after reading the first line, right, we then continue to read the subsequent line by using a while loop. Right, we have to first check if line is not null. And if it's not, then we're going to print the line to the console, and then we read the following line, right? Okay, so what's happening here now? We said that we created an object of StreamReader and we passed in the path of our text file, right? The path of our text file where the file is located, right? And then we read the first line and stored it in a variable called line, and then we check if this line is not empty. If it is not empty, we print the line to our console and then we read the following line, right? So now the important part is we need to close our reader after we are done with it. So we're going to say reader.close. And that's it. That is how we read from a text file. Now let's run the code. As you can see, we get dog, cat, and rat. So we have successfully read from the text file, the animals.txt. You can see here inside the text file, there is dog, cat, and rat also. So now that we know how to read from a file, now let's look at how we can write to a file, right? Now let's get rid of this code again and start writing code to write from a file. So I'm going to say file writer. Again, you can name it however you want, right? And then we create a static void main method. So now we need a StreamWriter, right? We need to create a StreamWriter object. We're going to call it writer. So new StreamWriter. We pass in again the path we want to write our file to, right? So in this case, we can say, let's say text files, right? Text files, and say for example that we wanted to write something new this time, maybe letters, right? We're going to say letters.txt, right? Now if you notice that we've created the letters.txt file, but it might not exist in our text file folder. So for example, here we only have animals.txt. We only have animals.txt, not letters.txt. So what would happen is the StreamWriter will check that this file, whether this file exists or not. If it doesn't exist, then it will automatically create it for us. We're gonna be created letters.txt for us, right? It will be created for us. So now let's start writing, right? So we first need data to write this letters.txt, right? We need the data that we're going to put into the letters.txt. So we're gonna create string letters equals, let's say A, B, C, right? So we've created an array that contains A, B, and C, and we want to write for each element in this array. We want to write it to our letters.txt. So let's begin. We're gonna say for each string letter in letters, right? We want to say writer.writeLine letter, right? So what's happening here? We created a StreamWriter object, and then we passed in the path. We passed in the path that we want our text file to be written to, right? And then we created data to write to our text file, right, in the form of an array. And then we said that for each letter inside this array, for each letter, for each A, B, and C, we want to write to our text file. So we said writer.writeLine letter. Now remember, since this is a stream, we need to be closing it after we're done. So we're going to say writer.close, and we're done. We have successfully created a way to write to a text file. Now let's run the code. As you can see, nothing happens here, right? But when we go and look at our text file folder, you will see that a new text file has been created for us, and this text file is called letters. And if we enter this letters, you will see that now A, B, and C have been written inside this letters.txt. Okay, so we have created a file writer and a file reader. Now I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.